This episode discusses the deaths of infants and young children, including suffocation. There are graphic descriptions. The subject matter is deeply distressing. Listener discretion is advised. Sydney's southwest, late 1970. A quiet working-class suburb where nothing ever really happened until babies started dying. Not one, not two, but again and again and again. At first, doctors called it cot death, a tragedy, a mystery, something no one could explain. But there was one thing they didn't realise. Every single time, there was someone watching. A teenage girl, trusted, familiar, family, a babysitter. Welcome to Coffee and Crime AU. Today's case is one where warning signs were ignored, where grief was explained away, and where one girl would go on to become one of Australia's youngest convicted serial killers. This is the story of Helen Patricia Moore. To understand what happened, you have to understand Claymore, a suburb built on the edge of Sydney. Public housing, tight streets, families doing their best to get by. This was a place where people knew each other. Kids played outside together. Neighbours looked after neighbours. And babysitting, that was normal, trusted, routine. And that's exactly how Helen fit in. Helen Patricia Moore was just a teenager, 17. And by all accounts, she wasn't someone who stood out. No criminal record, no obvious warning sign to outsiders. She babysat. She helped family. She was around children constantly. And that's what made her so dangerous, because no one was afraid of her. In 1979, Helen's younger brother, 14-month-old Andrew, died suddenly. No violence, no obvious cause. It was ruled as a tragic natural death. After Andrew's death, something shifted. Helen began babysitting more. More families, more children, more trust. And then another child died, a baby girl, just 16 months old. Her death was unexplained. Doctors suspected natural causes and no one questioned it, because who would suspect a teenage girl? Helen became known as someone reliable, someone you could call, someone who would help. She babysat for family members, neighbours' children, infants or toddlers, and each time she was alone with them. Between 1979 and 1980, more children became victims, one after another, all while under Helen's care. Still, no suspicion, just grief. Just confusion. Just families trying to understand why their children were gone. What finally broke this case open wasn't forensic evidence. It wasn't police work. It was something much simpler. Helen talked. She told people things that she shouldn't have. At one point, she reportedly admitted to a friend that she had killed her younger brother. But even then, it wasn't taken seriously, because who would believe that? A teenage girl killing babies. But eventually, police began to look closer. And when her 7-year-old brother Peter suddenly died, they questioned her. She confessed. A babysitter, a teenager, a trusted face in quiet Sydney suburb, confessing to killing children in her care. But what she said next would shock even experienced detectives, because this wasn't panic. It wasn't an accident. It was something far darker. The police didn't walk into that interview expecting a serial killer. They saw a teenage girl, small, soft-spoken and calm. But what they got instead was a confession, not forced, not dragged out, given plainly. At first it came in fragments, half sentences, detached. She spoke about her younger brother Andrew, about how she had found him unresponsive in his cot. Helen told police that after Andrew died, something inside her changed. But the way she described it, it wasn't grief. It was something colder. Police alleged that after her brother's death, Helen told them that she did not see why other children should live. Let that sit for a moment. This wasn't panic or a loss of control. This was a shift in thinking, a decision. When detectives pressed further, Helen began describing what she had done, how she had done it, and the method was chilling in its simplicity. No weapons, no noise, no visible injuries, just her hands. She told police that when she was alone with the children, that she would lean over them. She would place her hands over their noses, over their mouths, and hold them there. Helen described holding her hands in place even as the movement faded, even after, just to be sure. And then she would wait. Sometimes just seconds, sometimes longer, before calling for help, before alerting anyone, before becoming the grieving babysitter. Imagine that scene, a quiet house, a baby no longer breathing, and a teenage girl standing over the cot waiting. This wasn't a one-time act. Helen admitted to doing this again and again and again. Children in her care became targets, not because they cried or because they were difficult, but because they were there. They were accessible and vulnerable. Among them was a 16-month-old baby girl, Suzanne Louise McIntosh, 2-year-old Rachel Hay, and 7-year-old Peter, Helen's stepbrother, all killed while under Helen's supervision. There were 2 others, Vaughan Nicholson and Aaron Crocker. They were attacked in similar ways, but they survived. And surviving children became the key to understanding what had happened. Because their symptoms were different. They didn't die, they were found, struggling, gasping, sometimes unconscious, sometimes barely responsive. And in those moments, there was no medical explanation that fully made sense. until Helen spoke. What disturbed investigators most was not what she said, it was how she said it. There was no visible remorse, no emotional collapse, no panic. She spoke in a flat, almost detached tone, as if she was describing something routine. Even when detailing the children struggling beneath her hands, there was no shift, no hesitation. In court, it was revealed that Helen made an unsworn statement. She claimed that she loved children and enjoyed looking after them. And yet, at the same time, she admitted to killing them. That contradiction sat at the centre of the case. A babysitter who loved children but suffocated them with her own hands. Her defence would later argue that something had broken inside her after Andrew's death, that she wasn't fully in control, that her mental state had deteriorated. But the prosecution focused on something else: consistency, repetition, and the method. This wasn't chaotic, it wasn't random, it was controlled, deliberate, and repeated. By the time the investigation was complete, Helen Patricia Moore was charged with the murder of 4 children. This was later changed to 3 as the police couldn't prove the 4th beyond a reasonable doubt. She was also charged with the attempted murder of 2 others. All of them children she had been trusted to care for. When the truth came out, it didn't just shock police, it shattered families, communities, neighbours who had trusted her, parents who had left children in her care. Because this wasn't a stranger, this wasn't someone breaking in, this was someone invited inside. A confession, cold, detailed, repeated. A teenage babysitter admitting to suffocating children, one by one. But the most confronting part of this case was still to come. Because in court, the details would become even more explicit, and the families would finally hear exactly how their children died. The courtroom of the Supreme Court of New South Wales was full, not just with lawyers, not just with media, but with families, parents, relatives, people who had buried children without ever knowing why, until now. And sitting just meters away from them was the girl that they had trusted. Before the other children, there was Andrew, Helen's younger brother, a child already mourned, already buried, already explained away as a tragedy. Andrew's death was never proven in court to be murder. At the time, it was treated as a tragic natural death. However, later statements made by Helen raised serious suspicion about what may have happened. But here was the moment something changed. The prosecution laid out the case step by step. Not emotional, not exaggerated, just facts. A pattern of babysitting, a pattern of deaths, and a pattern of suffocation. A method described in court was consistent with what Helen had told police. She placed her hands over the nose and mouth, applied pressure, held them in place until movement stopped. Medical experts explained how infants die in those conditions. how oxygen deprivation affects the body, and how quickly distress turns to collapse. And for the families, those weren't just medical explanations. They were reconstructions of their child's final moments. The first death was that of Suzanne Louise McIntosh, Helen's cousin, 16 months old. Suzanne's parents decided to go out for the night to a friend's housewarming party. When they left, Suzanne was in her cot asleep. She was healthy, alive, until she was left in Helen's care. While out, they received a call from Helen that Suzanne had become ill. They immediately called emergency services and rushed to be with their baby. Along the way, they were pulled over by police for speeding. Once they explained to the police officer what was happening, he then drove them straight to the hospital to be with their daughter. By the time they got there, she was dead. Her official cause of death was suffocation from choking on her vomit. In court, it was detailed how Suzanne had been found unresponsive, how attempts were made to revive her, and how there were no immediate signs of injuries. Because there wouldn't be. That was the method. The prosecution made it clear this wasn't sudden infant death syndrome. This was deliberate suffocation. For Suzanne's family, the truth didn't bring relief. It replaced confusion with something sharper: betrayal. The court then turned to the other victims. Each case carried the same structure: a child left in Helen's care, a period where she was alone, a sudden collapse with no visible cause. The second death was that of 2-year-old Rachel Ann Hay, a neighbour's child. Helen was babysitting their 4 children on the 23rd of February in 1980. While Rachel was in Helen's care, she became unresponsive. It's said that one of Rachel's siblings saw that Helen had done something, but Helen threatened her that her other siblings would be next if she told anyone. When Rachel's parents arrived home, they saw that Rachel wasn't breathing, and they immediately called an ambulance, but it was too late. Rachel had already passed. Rachel's cause of death was put down to SIDS. It's now the 31st of March 1980. 7-year-old Peter John Moore is at home from school and has a broken arm. He had recently fallen down some stairs. Helen is home as well. She's looking after him. Peter was sitting on a beanbag, quietly watching TV. Helen takes this opportunity to sneak up behind Peter and forcefully place her hands across his mouth and nose. During the struggle, Peter's face is scratched. She keeps going until he is no longer moving. When ambulance officers arrived, they saw the scratches and they called the police. Police soon established that Helen was the only other person there, and they took her in for questioning. This was the moment that Helen admitted to the murders and attempted murders. 2 children survived. Helen was babysitting 1-year-old Vaughn Nicholson on the 16th of January 1980, and she tried to suffocate him. And on the 1st of February 1980, she tried to suffocate 2-year-old Aaron Crocker. Aaron had been asleep in his cot when Helen Moore put her hands over his mouth and nose in an attempt to suffocate him. She later told police that she thought he was dead and she returned to the lounge room to watch TV. She later heard Aaron crying and called a neighbour. The neighbour notified Aaron's parents. He was taken to hospital unconscious and was in a coma for 2 weeks. Aaron Crocker survived the initial attack, but suffered severe and permanent injuries. He was left blind and unable to walk following the incident. It has been reported that 2 years later, he died as a result of those injuries. Their cases were critical because they showed interruption. Moments where Helen didn't have enough time. The children were found, gasping, struggling to breathe, displaying signs consistent with oxygen deprivation. Medical testimony reinforced that these were not natural events. These were attempts. And for the families sitting in that courtroom, there was no escape. Every detail mattered. Every word painted a picture. Parents who had once questioned themselves now knew. It wasn't something that they had missed, and it wasn't something that they had failed to do. It was someone they trusted. Some had left their children with Helen more than once. Some had recommended her. Some had welcomed her into their homes like family. And now they were listening to how she stood over their children and held her hands in place as they struggled beneath her. Helen Patricia Moore did not act in chaos. She acted in quiet, contained environments, in bedrooms, living rooms, in homes where she had been invited in. The children were dependent. They were defenceless and unable to communicate what was happening. And the method she used required proximity, stillness, and time. This wasn't impulsive violence. It required her to remain present while the child reacted beneath her hands. Suffocation, specifically smothering, is one of the most difficult forms of homicide to detect in infants, because externally there is often nothing. No bruising, no visible trauma, no immediate sign of force. But internally, the body reacts rapidly. When airflow is blocked, oxygen levels begin to fall. Carbon dioxide rises, and the brain detects distress within seconds. An infant response is instinctive. Head turning, mouth opening, attempts to cry, but often silenced by the obstruction. Then comes escalation. Their limbs moving erratically, arching of the back, increased effort to breathe. At this stage, the struggle is active, and if pressure is maintained, that movement begins to weaken. As oxygen deprivation continues, consciousness begins to fade. Muscle control decreases and movements slow. In children, this can happen quickly, much faster than in adults. The body doesn't stop immediately. There can still be a small involuntary movement, reflexes. And this is the point that defines intent. Because stopping at that moment could save a life. Continuing past it means choosing the outcome. And this process was repeated. Different homes, different days, different children. Each time requiring the same positioning, pressure, and duration. The surviving children tell a different story. They represent the moment where something broke the pattern. And in those cases, the children were found alive but in distress, breathing irregularly, unresponsive or semi-conscious. These are critical indicators because they align directly with interrupted suffocation. After each incident, Helen Patricia Moore didn't flee. She didn't panic. She stayed. She became part of the aftermath, calling for help, present when the child was found. And this is significant because it reinforces familiarity, trust, and lack of immediate suspicion. She wasn't an outsider, she was already inside. Motive in this case is minimal but not absent. The only direct explanation comes from her own statement. After Andrew's death, she said that she did not see why other children should live. That statement doesn't explain behaviour fully, but it establishes a cognitive shift and a change in perception of other children, a form of internal justification. Beyond that, there is no clear emotional narrative. No recorded escalation of anger, no targeting of specific children, only opportunity. Every victim shared one thing: access. They were placed in her care, left alone with her and trusted with her. That's what has made these crimes possible. Not force, not coercion, access. But how did it go undetected for so long? At the time, infant deaths were often attributed to cot death or SIDS, or respiratory issues, or unknown causes. Without clear signs of trauma, there was little reason to suspect homicide. And when the same babysitter was present, it was seen as a coincidence, not a pattern, until it wasn't. The case only broke open because of disclosure, not a forensic breakthrough, not a medical detection, but words. Statements made by Helen Patricia Moore that triggered attention. And once investigators looked closer, the pattern became visible. Perhaps the most unsettling element is the disconnect between her role as a caregiver and her actions. It was now Helen's turn to speak at her trial. When Helen spoke, it didn't bring clarity. It deepened the unease. She told the court she loved children and that she enjoyed caring for them. And yet she admitted to the acts. There was no detailed explanation for why, no moment of emotional breakdown, no clear motive beyond what she has already said. After Andrew's death, something changed in her. The defence strategy focused on her mental state. They argued Helen was suffering, that she wasn't fully responsible, that something psychological had driven her actions. Experts were brought in, discussions of mental illness or of diminished responsibility. But the prosecution returned to the same point: repetition, control, and the method used. This wasn't one moment of loss of control. This was multiple separate incidences across different homes, different children, different days. What we don't know is just as unsettling. Whether there were more victims, whether there were more attempts, whether every incident was ever uncovered. Because cases like these rely on patterns, on detection, on someone noticing. And for a long time, no one did. There's a question that sits underneath this entire case, not loud, not obvious, but constant. How does someone do this more than once? Not in a panic, not by accident, but repeated calmly. To answer that, you have to look at behaviour, not emotion. Across every confirmed case, one element remains constant: control. The jury sat through all of it, every detail, every reconstruction and every account. 6 men, 6 women, tasked with deciding whether this teenage girl was criminally responsible and whether the deaths of these children were murder. When the verdict came, it was decisive: guilty. Helen Patricia Moore was convicted of 3 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. There was no ambiguity left, no uncertainty. The deaths that had once been unexplained were now defined. The judge handed down the sentence: 3 sentences of life in prison for killing 3 children that she had been trusted to protect. She also received additional time for the attempted murders to run concurrently. But even then, there was something that would later raise questions. No non-parole period was fixed, meaning her future release would eventually become a possibility. For the families, the trial didn't bring closure. It brought answers. And sometimes answers are worse. Because now they knew their children hadn't peacefully died. They had fought, struggled, trying to breathe. And the person who was supposed to keep them safe had been the one causing it. Andrew's name lingered over everything. Because his death wasn't investigated at the time, it wasn't questioned. He was just a child who died, and his family mourned him as such. But in the end, he became the first piece of a pattern that no one saw. A beginning that only made sense after it was too late. A life sentence for killing children, for suffocating babies in their cots, for standing over them and holding her hands in place until they stopped moving. After the trial at the Supreme Court of New South Wales, the headlines faded and the public stopped paying attention. There was silence, but not the peaceful kind, but the kind that sits in a house where something is missing. Bedrooms that stayed empty, toys that were never packed away properly, clothes that were outgrown by no one. Lives that stopped while everything else kept going. The trial should have been the end of the story, but it wasn't. Because in the 1980s in Australia, a life sentence doesn't always mean life. Inside prison, Helen Patricia Moore disappeared from public view. The headlines faded, the families were left behind, and the case went quiet. There are limited public records about her time inside, no widely reported incidences, no major disturbances, no public insight into remorse. Just time, years passing. And outside of those prison walls, families continued living with what had happened. For the families of the children, there was no moving on. Every milestone became a reminder. Birthdays that never came. First days of school that never happened. Lives that ended before they began. And for Suzanne and Peter's families, it carried something else. A different kind of weight. Because they weren't just taken, they were taken from within the family itself. And that kind of truth doesn't replace grief, it distorts it. In 1993, after serving approximately 14 years behind bars, Helen Patricia Moore was released. Not publicly announced in a way that most people would notice. No national alert, no widespread warning. She was simply back in the community, living under a different identity, away from the headlines. Like many convicted killers released after long sentences, she was given a chance to rebuild. A new name, a new start, a new life. But there was one problem. Her crimes weren't ordinary. They weren't isolated and they weren't impulsive. They involved children repeatedly and deliberately. And yet she was living among families again. Years later, the past resurfaced. Reports emerged raising concerns that Helen Patricia Moore was living near families with young children. Some reports also alleged that she had been in situations where she was again around children, including possible babysitting. These claims sparked immediate public outrage and fear, particularly for the families who had lived through the case. Let that sink in. A woman convicted of suffocating children, trusted once more, placed again in positions where children were vulnerable. Whether every detail of those reports can be independently confirmed or not, the public reaction was immediate. Outrage, fear, disbelief. For the families, it was like the case had never ended. The idea that she could be near children again wasn't just disturbing, it was unacceptable. Because they knew what she was capable of. They had sat in that courtroom. They had heard the details and they had imagined the final moments. And now other families were unknowingly living near her. Family members spoke about betrayal, about anger, about the system, about how someone was convicted of killing children could be released without the public truly understanding the risk. The case raised serious questions. Should child killers ever be released? Should identities be protected in cases like these? Should communities be informed? Because this wasn't just about punishment, it was about risk and whether enough had been done to prevent it from happening again. And because she was released, given a new identity, and the community was not informed, other children were placed in her care. This case highlights something critical. Not all violent offenders present as violent. Some operate entirely within trust, routine, and familiar environments, and that makes detection harder, especially when victims can't speak. There is a tendency to want clear answers, a single reason, a defined motive, but this case doesn't provide that. What it provides instead is a pattern of behaviour, documented, repeated, confirmed, without a fully explained why. There is no clean explanation, no simple motive, no moment that makes it make sense. Only actions, repeated, deliberate. And the knowledge that this happened more than once. When cases like this end, people expect closure, a conviction, a sentence, a sense that something has been resolved. But for families in this case, nothing was resolved. Because what was taken could never be returned. Peter John Moore. Suzanne Louise McIntosh, Rachel Ann Hay, Aaron Crocker. They should have grown up. They should have had a first day of school, friends, birthdays, milestones. Instead, their final moments were spent in the care of someone trusted. That's what makes this different. It wasn't chance, it wasn't circumstance. It was betrayal. 2 children survived, but survival doesn't mean untouched. It means they lived through something they were too young to understand, something they will never remember, but that became part of their story anyway. Their families, though, remember everything. The moment they found them, the panic, the confusion, the fear that something was terribly wrong, and later the realisation of what almost happened. And for every family in this case, there is a before and an after. Before, when the children were alive, when Helen was trusted, when everything felt normal. And after, when they knew how their children died, knew who was responsible, knew that it happened in moments that were supposed to be safe. And that kind of knowledge doesn't fade, it settles. This case isn't just about what Helen Patricia Moore did. It's about what she was given: access, trust, and responsibility. She wasn't forced into these homes, she was invited, welcomed, and relied on. And in those spaces where children should have been the safest, she became the danger. Justice in cases like these is complicated. A conviction acknowledges what happened. A sentence punishes it, but it doesn't undo it. It doesn't give Suzanne back her life. It doesn't give Rachel her childhood. It doesn't give Peter his future. And it doesn't erase what those families heard in that courtroom. Justice becomes something quieter, something believed. Having the truth known and making sure those children are not forgotten. It's easy in cases like these to focus on the offender, to analyse and question and try to understand. But at the centre of this story are children. Children who should have grown up, who should have had lives beyond a single chapter in a case. And the most important thing is that they are remembered for more than how they died. There's a line that runs through this entire case. It's not loud, but it's consistent. Every child was placed into someone's care with trust, and that trust was broken in the worst possible way. This case is confronting, not just because of what happened, but because of how quietly it happened. No noise, no visible signs, no immediate suspicion. Just moments repeated in ordinary homes. And a truth that only came out after it was too late. For the families, there is no ending. Only remembrance, only absence, only the weight of what should have been. And for the rest of us, there is a responsibility to remember these cases, not for the person who caused them, but for the children who should still be here. Thank you for listening to Coffee and Crime AU, real stories, real people. New episode out next Tuesday.